Hi, I'm Kat from All Belong at Kat's Big Queer Poly World. Today I'm going to be talking to you about polyamory and about 4 distinct styles of polyamory and the ways that people practice polyamory. Maybe you're new to polyamory or just considering polyamory and you're wondering what type of relationship would work for you. Here's a video to help you figure it out. So, huge disclaimer here. This is going to be filled with a lot of generalizations and a lot of personal opinions. There is no rule book. There's no one way to do polyamory or polyamory relationships. So whatever works for you and your partners is okay, and whatever you want to call it is also okay. These are just the 4 most talked about styles of forming polyamorous relationships. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about is called kitchen table poly. This is what I currently practice, and essentially what it means is that you and your partners and any of their partners would all be comfortable sitting at the kitchen table to have a cup of coffee. So in my case, I have 2 partners and a metamor, and we have all gone to baseball games together. We have dinner together sometimes. We sometimes go to pride events together or a garage sale together. We are somewhat involved in each other's lives. We know what's going on with each other. That's what kitchen table poly is all about. For people who have children, a lot of times when you're practicing kitchen table poly, the children are aware, not always, but a lot of times, and so partners may be involved in the children's lives. There's just more involvement in your day-to-day life. Now, that's a complete scale, for anywhere from I'll have coffee once in a while with a friend all the way to my metamor is my best friend. So that's pretty much what is referred to as kitchen table poly. The next style that I'm going to talk to you about is called parallel poly. And this is kind of seen as the opposite of kitchen table poly. This means that you and your partner may have other partners, but they have limited or no interaction with each other. Everybody knows about everybody, consent is had, but you kind of live separate polyamorous lives. I have lived this style before. It works. I prefer the kitchen table poly style for myself, but parallel poly is perfectly fine. Typically in a parallel poly relationship, I would have a partner and my partner would have a partner or partners, and they would do what they wanted on their dates. I would do what I want on my dates, and we really wouldn't interact. We wouldn't celebrate together. We wouldn't hang out together, etc. That's typically referred to as parallel poly. The third type of polyamory, style of polyamory I'd like to talk to you about is called solo polyamory. In a person who considers themselves solo poly typically wants to have more than one romantic or intimate or sexual relationship, but also wants to maintain their own sense of independence. People who practice solo poly often do not choose to have nesting partners. They often don't live with any partners or share finances with any partners. They probably don't raise children with any of their current polyamory partners. They want the freedom to live their lives independently, but still find joy and passion and happiness and fulfillment in multiple loving, consensual relationships. That's solo poly. The fourth kind I'm going to talk to you about is called relationship anarchy. Relationship anarchy kind of means no rules, sort of. People who believe in relationship anarchy or practice relationship anarchy believe that both their romantic and their platonic loves are infinite, and they don't believe in prioritizing any one person in their lives necessarily over the others, particularly their friends and their partners. People who practice relationship anarchy often feel that their friendships are just as much important part of their lives as their partners, and they will not prioritize their partner over their friends. In addition, people who practice relationship anarchy often typically eschew any kind of societal expectations of what a couple looks like. They don't typically want to get married. They don't typically want to nest with anybody. They don't want to be forced to do things because that's what couples do. They believe that every relationship is unique and that every relationship should develop naturally, and that there is no limit to how the heart can love, and they don't really follow a lot of relationship style rules. That doesn't mean that they don't have boundaries or respect boundaries in their partners. It just means that they want intentional boundaries. They want to know that people aren't doing things just because that's what society expects of them. That's what people mean when they typically say relationship anarchy. So now that I've talked to you about the 4 main relationship styles within polyamory, I'd like to touch on hierarchical versus non-hierarchical relationships. Now, some people would have put those into relationship styles, but I don't really consider them to be relationship styles. I consider it to be a structure within another relationship style. For example, I consider myself to have a non-hierarchical structure within my kitchen table poly. So, hierarchical relationships mean that one partner has some sort of priority over the other partners. Typically, this is the person that you live with, or you are partnered with, or you share finances or raise children with. This is the person with whom you make your life decisions. They're typically, in a hierarchical relationship, considered your primary partner, your number one partner. Everybody after that would be considered secondary or tertiary or common. And I'll talk about all those terms in an upcoming video. In a non-hierarchical relationship, there is considered no primary, secondary, tertiary relationships. All of the relationships are considered equal and are given equal priority. You may live with one or more of your partners and not live with others, but within a non-hierarchical relationship, you typically believe that all of the relationships are on equal level and that no one is prioritized over the other. So that's a little bit about hierarchical versus non-hierarchical relationships. I'll be talking more about that too in an upcoming video. I hope that you'll consider joining me on this journey. If you like what you've seen so far, please make sure you hit the subscribe button or like, share, follow, etc., etc., and don't miss any of the future upcoming videos.